Hey guys, it's Sim, and this is Wrestling Unlimited, as it's Wednesday, and you know what that means. It means tonight was AEW Dynamite, but not just any Dynamite. It was the big business show from the TD Garden in Boston, Massachusetts, and it was big business because the CEO, Mercedes Mone, did make her AEW debut tonight. Now, this is just my opinion. Not everyone's going to have the same opinion, I know, and some people may say that I'm wrong for thinking this, but her debut here tonight, to me, just felt okay. It didn't feel like a big superstar. It didn't feel like, oh my God, this is groundbreaking or changing the business like they may think. It just really felt just all right. It didn't feel all superstar-y. Like, she's a superstar herself, yes, but it didn't feel like, I'm going to say right now, I thought the Will Ospreay debut was bigger. I really did. I thought the Will Ospreay debut was a lot bigger than what we saw tonight for Mercedes Mone. And yeah, why I checked something really fast. Luke, what'd you think of Mercedes debuting tonight for AEW?
Honestly, to me, it felt like they were trying to copy like CM Punk's debut in AEW.
100%.
Have them start off in their hometown and then have them end off the show in their hometown. But yeah,
did Punk
really
open and close that show? I don't remember that. Did he?
I know he opened it.
No, I remember. Yeah, I remember him opening the show. I just don't remember him. Damn it! I just
might have closed it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
I just don't remember him coming out at the end.
But yeah, her opening promo felt very underwhelming as well.
Yes.
Which, I mean, we'll talk about that later. But I mean, her debut was okay, but it felt very underwhelming to me because it was like, it didn't really come off like superstar-ish, and to me it just felt like very expected because like everyone knew she was going to be there.
But that was the whole thing. They wanted it to be obvious without having to say it, which in my opinion, I think they should have just said it, or at least said, we're getting a big debut next week on the show on the 13th, whatever. I feel like they could have done better. What's the wrestle ticks on this? 6,000, 7,000? I know last time they were, let's look at wrestle ticks. I know last time they were in this building, the TD Garden, they did over 9,000. Tonight they did, is this for tonight? That's for next week. Next week they got almost 5,000 tickets sold, which is, yeah, next week's almost sold out in Toronto. Tonight. Okay. Multiple sources have confirmed that AEW Big Business had distributed 9,400 tickets tonight. This would mean that any section I've partially credited it, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. So basically they're saying that they did do over 9,000 tonight, which is good, which is roughly right around probably what they did last time, about 94 to 95. That's not bad. But now here's the question. You do these shows where you debut somebody in their hometown and people are supposed to know it's them and this and that, and it worked. 9,000 for tonight? That's awesome, because last week they only did, what, 4,000, 4,500 for both Collision and Dynamite together? But here's the thing. Is this going to be sustainable? Are they going to go, and next week in Toronto they have the big Christian Adam Copeland I Quit match for the TNT title. So again, another show with a big match on it, a pay-per-view caliber match in their hometown. But once we start doing this big match in people's hometown stuff, is it going to sustain, and are we going to go back to just 3,000, 2,000? That's the big question, is where's the ratings going to go for tonight? Are they going to sustain those ratings, and are they going to be able to sustain these attendance numbers? Like next week, I mean, I'm looking here on WrestleTix. So this is all from WrestleTix. Next week in the Coca-Cola Coliseum in Toronto, Ontario, Canada, the show is currently set up for 4,964, and 4,697 have been distributed. So a little under 300 tickets still available. That's literally only 500 or 5,000 tickets, and they're going to call it a sellout, even though the whole arena is not being used. But regardless, the question is now, when they get back to these shows where it's just an average Dynamite, how are the numbers going to be when it's not a specialty loaded up show? When it's just a regular show like last week, which even that should have been considered a special show coming off the pay-per-view. You can't judge this after one night. You just can't. You got to give it time and see where it all does go with both the attendance and the ratings. Because where's Collision this week? Do we know? Well, maybe we should know. I want to see for Collision. I don't see WrestleTix have anything right here for it. I can look where Collision is, but that's going to be the thing. What is the ticket sales going to be? What are the numbers going to be for Collision this week? AEW schedule, events. Collision is going to be, what date is that? In Canada. So we'll see. They're going to be in Ontario, Canada this Saturday for Collision. And then they got like a few weeks where they're going to be in Canada. So they'll be back in the United States on my birthday, April 3rd. I didn't even realize my birthday's a Wednesday. So, yep.
Also, we got a 100-bit donation from Esports Gaming. Says, you know the old saying, more money, more problems, or should we say more money, more problems for AEW?
That's a good one.
Yeah, it's also going to give it time to tell, see how Tony Khan can control Mercedes.
Yeah.
Because we saw how Punk turned out and Tony Khan couldn't control him.
So if we want to still try to compare her going to AEW to CM Punk going to AEW, you know the other big thing that you can compare the two with is that AEW was their second choice. Punk originally in 2020 or whatever it was before the pandemic wanted to go back to WWE, and Vince said no. So then he goes, well, this other company's calling me. They want me. I'll go there instead because they'll take me. So he went to AEW and then eventually got fired from there and went to WWE where he wanted to be. Now we look at Mercedes. Mercedes walked out of WWE. She went and did stuff with New Japan and Stardom. She then had talks with AEW, but the moment there was an opportunity for her to go to WWE late last year, she stopped those talks with AEW and started talking to WWE. WWE reportedly didn't give her exactly what she wanted. They passed on her. And then she's like, okay, Tony, let's go. So now my question here is, because everyone's like, oh, Tony Khan paid her more than WWE was willing to pay her. Tony Khan gave her what she wanted. We don't know that. My big question, what I want to know is, did Tony Khan pay her more than WWE was willing to pay her? Or did WWE walk away from the negotiations because they didn't like what was being negotiated and she had to settle for what Tony Khan was going to pay her and give her? That's the big thing that I want to know. Did she get more money from WWE, or did she have to, or from AEW, or did she have to settle to go to AEW because WWE wouldn't take her? Even though the two sides talk, like, there's got to be something too. She was in negotiations with AEW, cut those to go talk to WWE, and then went back to AEW. That's the whole thing that I want to know. That's the big question and a half. So,
I mean, it's also tough to say at the same time because you saw how much money Tony Khan paid Okada. So
the report of $4.5 million a year, Meltzer said it's big money, but that may be a little bit exaggerated. That number from Tokyo Sports. He said it's big money, but it could be less than $4.5 million. I mean, I would assume he's still getting multi-millions, whether that's 4.5, 3, 2, we don't know. But yeah, Meltzer did state that it's not quite 4.5. Maybe it's just 4. I don't know. But he said the Tokyo Sports number was a little high from what he'd heard. But still, he's paying Okada and Ospreay big money. And he's willing to fly Ospreay in from the UK every week.
I don't know. If I was WWE, I don't know if I'd feel comfortable paying both of them $4 million, though.
Would
you?
Not yet, because they're both unproven on U.S. television. Like, those two guys getting that much money, yeah, they're big name guys to the hardcore wrestling fans, but they're unproven in the US on a major television show like Raw, SmackDown, Dynamite, whatever. So I would be like, hey, we'll give you this, and maybe put a clause in there to be like, there's an opportunity for growth and the contract to expand to more money over time if we're getting our investment back on you. If we're seeing that you're selling tickets, you're selling merch, you're doing good numbers in the ratings. That's what I would do. But hey, I'm not the owner. Esports Gaming with another donation here says, Tony Khan got that Stardom sponsorship thanks to Mone, so watch out, Stardom. Yes, I was going to bring that up as well. The new president of Stardom was backstage tonight at AEW Dynamite. Tony Khan actually posted a photo with him backstage at the show. So I don't know if that's Tony got the partnership or more of Stardom wants to use her, so they're just going to use her, and they were there to meet with her. I don't know. Because according to a report from Fightful that they put out this evening, they stated that New Japan and Stardom, or their report states, I'm going to read a line from their report really fast because it is actually kind of interesting the way it's written, and I almost want to reach out to them to clarify this. But it says, in addition, we're told that New Japan Pro Wrestling expects to be factored into this deal. And they were under the impression as of January that they would be able to continue work with Mercedes in a big way. Sources in the company said that they hoped they could pick up where they left off with her last year, but that AEW would be her priority. So now my question here is when they say New Japan Pro Wrestling expects to be factored into this deal, does that mean that they're helping pay part of her contract? Or is it just they know that now that she's in AEW and not going back to WWE, they're going to be able to get dates on her and use her when it doesn't impact when AEW needs her? That's what I'm not 100% sure on with this report from Fightful. Are they helping pay her deal? Or is it just they're factored in because they know now they can use her, like Daniel Bryan or Bryan Danielson, Eddie Kingston, John Moxley, and so forth? But we'll see once it gets going. Go for it.
I'm really curious to see who is the highest paid wrestler in AEW. A lot of people say it was Moxley.
Could be. I know he got a new deal that runs now through 2027. I think it's a year ago, maybe 2 years ago now.
I'm pretty sure it's 2028.
Is it? I can tell you right now exactly when it is because we have it up on our website, pwunlimited.co. Hit the resources tab. And then we got all the known wrestling contract information. It is, you could be right. Let's see. So it's till the end of 2027 through 27. So technically end of 27, beginning of 28, all kind of there. Them, Kenny Omega, Hangman, and the Bucks are all through the end of 2027. Now, here's the other thing. You asked who's the highest paid. You got to think Omega and the Bucks all have two different contracts from this company. They have an executive contract, an employee contract, and they have a wrestler contract. So they're probably the most paid. Good chance, at least. And you would have to think Jericho's probably got a high-paying deal as well.
Yep. They have to be paying Jericho a lot as well.
Yeah. I still remember the story that when AEW was about to be announced, they contacted Jericho and gave him a deal. And he was like, all right, let me think about it. He took that offer to Vince and said, hey, Vince, can you at least match this? Vince told him no. So Jericho signed the contract with AEW, and apparently a week or two later, Vince calls up Jericho and goes, oh, that was real? No. Can you want to still work for me? And Jericho's like, I can't. I signed a legally binding contract. So it's like Vince didn't think AEW was going to be a real thing and told Jericho, sure, yeah, go do whatever you're going to do. That story still gets me every time.
I don't know if you've seen this or not. Apparently, like there's this like spreadsheet video or something where it shows you how much money each AEW wrestler is making. And it said like Pac is making like 2 million, Mox is making like 6 million, and Meltzer responded, if that was real, then Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins would be calling Tony Khan right now.
Right. Yeah. I know what you're talking about. And there's people that have tried to do stuff like that about WWE. Oh, this wrestler's doing this and this and this, and they try to make it look all legit and real. And yeah, no. Like there's a chance Moxley could be making maybe not 6 million, but Moxley's making multi-millions. That's for sure. Not 6 though. There's no way he's making 6 million. Because I think other than Brock Lesnar, no one was making other than Brock, at least as of a couple years ago. I don't know with Roman's latest contract. I don't know what he's at now, but I know Brock and Cena were the only ones over 5 for a while. I think Cena was maybe making 4 or 5, and Brock at one point was making 12 million.
Oh yeah, there was one point where Brock was making like $2 million each match.
Basically, yeah. So, but even though
2-man match for $2 million though, like Jesus.
Yeah, even though Shad Khan's got a lot of money, I don't think he's putting that much money into AEW. Because AEW, to be honest, and we know this for a fact, they've said it, has still not had an actual in the green profitable year. Tony Khan actually stated if they didn't invest, $8 million in the video game, that last year would have been profitable, but it wasn't because of the video game. Because they actually, instead of partnering with the developer, he basically created his own video game division for AEW. Instead of saying, we're going to partner with a developer and a publisher like 2K or whatever and then go from there. No, he created his own division and then partnered with AKI, but still put up most of that money. With WWE, they're kind of like, what's the word? Oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. Not renting, but they're like giving the license to 2K to then create this game. And then 2K puts up, I think, most of the money for the video game. So we'll see how it all does work out. We got one more donation from Esports Gaming. He says Tony Khan is starting to be like the quote new Vince McMahon, but with too much money. I don't know about that. I don't know how you would compare him to Vince. What do you actually like? How are you comparing him as the new Vince McMahon? I don't know.
Did you see someone asked Tony Khan about the Kevin Kelly firing, and Tony's just like, I don't want to answer that?
Oh, yes, for most things. I did not see that, no. Where was that, on Twitter?
I think it was like
Or the interview?
I think it was like some media. It was like some interview. It was an interview. Someone asked him, like, hey, like, what led to Kevin Kelly being fired? And it was like something like that. I can't remember what they said, but he was asked about the Kevin Kelly firing. He said, I don't really want to talk about that.
Interesting. Yeah, I didn't see that.
A lot of people got mad at Tony Khan for that.
Before we get into this, we got to do our little housekeeping with that. I want to say thank you for joining us here. Twitch.tv/PWU Unlimited, YouTube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited, and podcast services all around the globe like Stitcher, Spotify, Google Pod, Apple Pod, Anchor, iHeartRadio, and so much more. Remember, if you are watching live on Twitch, you can help us out a couple of different ways. You can either help us out by hitting that donate button down below, or donating Twitch bits in the live chat. Also, remember, you can help us out by subscribing to the channel, one of 2 different ways. You can either subscribe with a tier subscription, or you can subscribe with Amazon Prime, because remember, if you have Amazon Prime, then you have Prime Gaming. Prime Gaming gives you a lot of cool things like free games, free stuff for games, and you always get 1 free subscription to any Twitch channel you want to subscribe to throughout the month. And I'd greatly appreciate it if you did right here, Pro Wrestling Unlimited. Also, remember that you can head over to YouTube, hit that subscribe button. That way you know when we post new videos, when we go live, and when we post things to the community tab. Hit the join button to become a channel member and support the channel. And if you want to get your comment, question, or concern read live on the air, donate a super chat in the live chat. Finally, head over to the Epic Game Store. Head over to the Epic Game Store and buy something. Whether you're buying a new game, whether you're buying an old game, whether you're claiming a free game or getting bucks for Rocket League, Fortnite, or Fall Guys, use this code right here, PW Unlimited at checkout, and you will be supporting us at no extra cost. Like right now, the free game is Astro Duel 2, but starting tomorrow, you can get Deus Ex Mankind Divided for free. And when you're claiming that game for free, which that's a really good game, I love that game, use this code, PWU NLIMITED, for all Epic Games and Epic Games Store purchases. Also, go get that new Battle Pass for Fortnite. The Myth and Mortal season is out. And use this code, It's super simple. Scroll to the bottom of the item shop. It's going to say you have a creator code. Say yes. Type it in. PW Unlimited. But with that, as far as this show does go, they opened up the show with a shot. I've never been to Boston, so this is just what I know of from what it looked like on the TV. There's like a bridge, or maybe it's the freeway right next to the building in TD Garden. And so the shot was like a drone shot or a crane shot or something, zooming out on that bridge and that highway, freeway, whatever you want to call it. And you hear Renee Paquette in her voice, and she starts talking about, tonight's a big night. We're in Boston, Massachusetts. We're in the TD Garden, da-da-da-da-da. They cut to her, and she starts talking about the night. And then, well, a Mercedes pulls up. They zoom in right on the car. The door opens, and you don't see anybody walk out. So then the big question is, okay, if it's a Mercedes, that's got to be a Mercedes and that Mercedes. But is she going to come out now, or are they going to try and save her for the end? And, well, she came out right away. So music hits that we don't know, so we assume it's her. I had never heard this theme song before. It's a new theme song. They couldn't use the theme song she used for New Japan because it's a rip-off of Criss Cross, and they would have had to got permission for that because it samples from Criss Cross and the whole thing. So they created her new music. She had fancy hair. It said All Elite CEO. It said CEO on her graphics and everything. And if I heard correctly, yes, the fans were chanting CEO, but the CEO chants are also in her music. Am I wrong there? Or did I not hear it right?
It felt like audio CEO chants.
Right. So
at least that's what it felt like to me.
Now, we do know that by the end of the show, they did have the crowd chanting CEO, I think, because when it cut to black at the end before Julia came out, they thought it was going to be Mercedes, and the crowd did start chanting CEO, CEO. So it worked out in the end. I mean, they got her to chant CEO. She also came out of the babyface tunnel. That was another telling sign that she's starting off as a babyface, even though, in my opinion, she's always been a better heel than a babyface. Not saying she's a bad babyface, but I've always thought she's played a better heel. Just comes down to the ring. She tears up, and she tells Boston that she's home. And oh my God, did people on Twitter misconstrue that one? People go, I saw tweets. I'm not lying. She said AEW's her home. Oh my God, she loves it here already. Like, no, she didn't call AEW her home. She's in Boston, where she lived since she was like 11 years old. She was originally born in California, Northern California, until she lived there since she was like 10 or 11 before moving to Boston. But she considers Boston her home because that's where she, quote unquote, grew up. She thanked the crowd for having her back these past 2 years and for giving her the courage to come to AEW. And if I'm going to be critical, I don't like that line, especially since we all know that you wanted to go to WWE and they told you no. Mone said that they'll be creating so many moments together because the fans are the reason she is here. If the fans only knew how much tonight meant to her and how much pro wrestling means to her, as pro wrestling has changed and saved her life. She says it's given her hope, a place to dream, and people like Eddie Guerrero, fans pop when she says Eddie, gave her hope that one day she could do this. Mone brought up main eventing a show in this very building, and then talked about her start at Chaotic Wrestling, and says that she wants the fans to know that they can do this too. She said now it's time to get down to business. She needs to be here in AEW. This is the only place that the revolution can be global. And another line here that I didn't like. So she says that the revolution in AEW this is the only place where the revolution can be global. But how is that a true statement when WWE is running an international pay-per-view like every other month? AEW's got one, and then they go to Canada a couple times a year. WWE's in another country every other month for a pay-per-view. January, they were in the States. February, they were in Australia. Then they're coming back, no pay-per-view in March. April, they're going to be back in the States. And then, boom, they're going back. They got a Saudi show right after that. They've got Toronto. They've got, no, not a Saudi show right after. They got France.
I think
Then
Yeah,
it's
Backlash is in France this year.
France, and then I think there's a Saudi show between France. So actually, there's gonna be like a 3-month period where WWE's running international pay-per-views because they've got France for Backlash. They've got, I'm pretty sure the Saudi show is gonna be June, and then they've got what? No, when's Money in the Bank? Is that June or July?
July.
So June should be the Saudi
July.
show.
Yeah, July they're gonna have July 5th is SmackDown. Saturday, July 6th is Money in the Bank, and July 7th is NXT Heatwave. So they're gonna be in Toronto
3
those
nights.
4 straight days.
Yeah. So
Or
so
3
technically,
nights.
still left this year, they've got France, Toronto, Saudi Arabia, Berlin, just to name what we know so far. And I think it was, I'm going to forget his name. One of the main guys from TKO has said that they've got other international events that they haven't even announced yet. So when you say this is the only place where a revolution can be global, it's not true. When WWE is running so many international shows. She said that she's been watching the girls in the back, and she can't wait to get into the ring with all of them. She then brings up that tonight's main event is going to be Riho versus Willow Nightingale. Then she says that she has unfinished business with Willow, where basically she wanted us to think that she was going to attack Willow tonight, that she was going to get involved and have some beef and lay her out. She said, but right now, I am all elite. And they put the all elite graphic up on the screen. She thanks Tony Khan and tells the fans to say hello to your new CEO. She then takes off her jacket to reveal gold gear, and the crowd cheers pretty well. So, yeah, that was an okay debut. Wasn't great or anything. Like, I didn't think this was, oh my God, game changing. Like, I thought it was no more better than when we see somebody else debut, but like less than the Will Ospreay debut. If we're ranking the 3 debuts in 2024, it would go Ospreay, Okada, Mercedes. Maybe you can argue putting Mercedes above Okada because Okada's was a surprise that they didn't even tease. You can go, okay, well, they had more people there for the Mercedes one because they at least basically told us. The Okada one, they didn't even tease it. But Will Ospreay's, hands down, was a way better crowd reaction debut and everything than Mercedes. So what'd you think of her first in-ring promo with AEW? And then also next week, she's just doing another promo. That's all they said. We'll hear from her next week. So what'd you think of this?
Honestly, I had no issue with her like opening up the show, but her promo just felt very underwhelming to me.
Yes.
Because like they didn't really like tell us much. All it said was happy to be home in Boston. And that was about it.
So, like, but she's like, I need to be here. Okay, tell us why. She's like, I need to be here. I've been watching the girls in the back. Okay, so other than Willow, who you faced before, hype up some of these girls. There's eyes on this show right now because of you. So this is when you need to be like, I want to face guys, or I want to face some of these women like Britt Baker, like Deonna Purrazzo, like Julia Hart. Like, name some of these women you want to face, because that's going to help raise their stock. Granted, I don't know how long she's going to be able to do something like that, but night one, when there's the most eyes that are going to be on her for sure, she should have named some of those girls instead of just being like, I've been watching the girls in the back and can't wait to get into the ring with them. We should have said who specifically. Like, yeah, she said Willow, but Willow's the one that technically injured her. I don't think Willow was technically at fault, but it's like if you think about the match that she had, it was with Willow. So, I don't know. I wouldn't call it a total miss, but I wouldn't call it a home run either.
Well, I'm pretty sure Mercedes also said in an interview that her ankle injury was almost career ending.
Yes. It was way worse than anybody expected.
Like, that was kind of scary, which I don't know. I mean, I didn't know what happened, like, if I'm being completely honest.
So she was facing Willow for the New Japan Strong Belt, and they were on the top rope, and she basically fell off and fell to the outside. And when she crashed down, she broke her ankle. Jumped in the ring and finished the match, but yeah, fell off the top rope to the floor.
Peace.
So we get a little hype video telling us exactly why Wardlow is facing Joe. And then Renee Paquette speaks with Joe as they tell us Joe will be defending the AEW World Championship next against Wardlow. Joe said that tonight feels like money. And he hasn't forgotten the last time he and Wardlow were in the ring together. As debts need to be paid and Wardlow's are overdue. Joe said this was the biggest mistake of Wardlow's career, and Joe doesn't lose titles in the Garden. Undisputed Kingdom has a video here with Adam Cole reading a book, saying once upon a time there was a man who a man who was lied to, named Wardlow, who was locked away by a true evil man. Wardlow slayed many beasts and was decked in gold, but needed to be surrounded by men who hated the evil man as much as he did. Brotherhood, bound by undisputed hatred. The warrior Wardlow is ready to fulfill his destiny, presenting the prize to its king. With courage and purpose, Wardlow marched into war, fueled by his hatred of the evil man to slay the beast. The book Cole was reading from was called The Precious Gold, the book Cole was reading showed the words, the precious gold was captured, the prophecy fulfilled, the kingdom became whole. So here's what I didn't like about this. Basically, Joe is in the MJF spot because the evil man we all hated, like, that's not Joe, that's MJF. And then I still didn't like what they kept saying, Wardlow's going to win the belt and hand it to Adam Cole. No, you ain't Ted DiBiase, bro. And no one thought Wardlow was winning tonight anyways. Especially when they said it's not the main event. Yeah, hell no. You ain't doing a title change 30 minutes into the show. Like, this match started, 15, 20 minutes in. You ain't doing a title change then. And this match only went, like 10 minutes. Do I have time? I don't have time for it. But yeah, so it was a cute little segment there with Adam Cole reading the book, but what did you think of these two little promos before the match?
I thought it was whatever. Nothing really special.
As far as the match,
I'm
go for it.
I'm really curious see what they do once Adam Cole is like cleared and ready to go, because him and MJF, they're not going to be cleared at the same time, because I think Adam Cole's supposed to be back earlier for MJF.
So I don't think it's a matter of MJF needing to get, and I could be wrong here, but I don't think it's a matter of MJF needing to get quote unquote cleared. It's just he's resting up. No one's said that he's out with a like actual injury. Yes, his shoulder's messed up. That's for sure. But what I heard, I saw, go for it.
I saw somewhere where he's like trying not to get surgery, because if he got surgery, he'd be out for a year.
Right. And that's where it's like, I heard that he can still work on the shoulder, but he needs to rest it so that way it doesn't further get hurt to where then it is considered a legit full injury. Like you said, he doesn't want to get the surgery, so they're just resting him for the time being, because the only plan they have for him is versus Adam Cole. So if Adam Cole's out with an injury, why not have him sit out and heal up? Now, as you said, these promos were nothing special and just there. That's what I feel about the world title match here. Not a bad match, but it was just basic, and Joe put him to sleep. Nothing special.
Does Wardlow need to get his ass out of this company.
I mean, yes, but can we now say that Wardlow can never be taken seriously, as a world title challenger? They've built him up how many times now, only to just be like, you lost. You lost. Like, there was nothing special about this match at all.
I mean, I don't think anyone really takes Wardlow seriously anymore.
No, they've booked him so badly. They wanted him to be what everybody else is not. Like, when AEW first started, he was legit. Him and Jake Hager, and even Jake Hager is not considered fully like a big man. Like, he is, because he's like tall and whatnot. He's a heavyweight fighter, but it's like Wardlow was considered different because everyone was these indie guys. They were 6'1", 6'2", or smaller, and no one was really more than like 240 other than Wardlow, who was big, jacked, and everything. And there wasn't another big, jacked guy at the start. Now we got Brian Cage and so forth, but he was the first and only big, jacked guy for almost a year. And so they were trying to push him as this scary monster. Like him and Luchasaurus were the only big monster type guys they had for a while. And Luchasaurus was a babyface at the time. So they were building him up as this big, scary monster heel. And it just never worked. I feel like because he was always somebody's lackey, he was always just somebody's guy to do their dirty work. It's never felt like it's worked for me with Wardlow.
Someone in the Twitch chat says if Wardlow goes to WWE, you think they would treat him different? I mean,
maybe, but that's hard to say. You never fully know until it happens.
Right. I'm trying to think of like some big dudes like on like the main roster that have been used really well. Like Braun Breaker, I think they're using him pretty well on the main roster right now.
But then you look at Karrion Kross and it's like, eh. Even though
Bobby
we know
Lashley.
Well, Bobby Lashley
Lashley
has been used well, but this Karrion Kross Final Testament storyline has not been all that great.
Right. Then like Bronson Reed, I mean, Bronson Reed's been okay, but
he loses too much.
Yeah, that's the thing. He loses too much.
Yeah. But that's like Wardlow. They give him a couple wins and then boom, he loses a bunch. And they give him a couple of wins, then he loses again. They whenever they start to build momentum for Wardlow and AEW, they just take it right from him all of a sudden. Like they build and they go, okay, we can beat him now. But we can beat him now. So
yeah. Like if Wardlow did go to WWE, I think he'd be one of those guys that they would use like really, really well in NXT.
Yep, start him in NXT.
I roster. Yeah, he would do really well in NXT. Like he's one of those guys that do really well there, but when he goes to the main roster, it's gonna be questionable.
Right. It'll all depend on how that NXT run does go. Like with Braun Breaker, everyone was questioning how is he gonna be. Yeah, he's a nepo baby because his dad and his uncle, they're the Steiners, so of course he's gonna get a look and he's gonna get pushed. But he proved why he was getting pushed the way he was. He proved why he was the biggest name in NXT for like a year and a half. So maybe Wardlow could do the same thing there. I don't know his contract status, so it's unclear how long he's still locked in with AEW. And it's also unclear if he even wants to leave AEW. Maybe he loves it there and doesn't want to try WWE. Who knows?
Right. And gosh, I know for like a few months ago, I think when like once Jade signed with WWE, a lot of people were saying like, oh, Wardlow might make that jump as well. Fans kept making that assumption that Wardlow might be going there as well.
They said the same about Ricky Starks.
Yeah, like someone asked, I think it was during Revolution, during their press conference, someone asked what's Ricky Starks' contract status, and Tony Khan said he's still under contract.
Yeah, well, because he's been off TV for so long. Since they dropped the tag titles, we haven't seen them. And so someone, I don't know who, I never saw this, but I read other people's reports on it. There was a Twitter and a Reddit rumor that said that Ricky Starks had been released or his contract was up in the end of February, and that's why they dropped the tag titles. But that wasn't true. So someone just confirmed it through Tony Khan, and Tony's like, no. He's still with us. So yeah, someone tried to start a fake rumor and report that his contract had expired. It was really the actual report that I saw was last year. People thought his contract was up at the end of 2023. And so maybe people, I don't know. But yeah, there was a report going on last year too that said Ricky Stark's deal was up at the end of last year. But as far as the world title match does go, again, like I said, not a bad match, but there was nothing special, and it was there. Wardlow attacked right at the bell and took the fight to the outside, slamming Joe onto the barricade. Wardlow ripped up a fan sign, and a fan sign that read, "Joe's gonna kill you." And then we go back into the ring where he kept Joe grounded. Like, he was getting good offense early on, but it was just like, he beat up Joe a bunch. Joe lit him up a little bit with some punches. And then he got back on the offense again. We go to a commercial break. Come back, and Wardlow's still in control. And I'm like, oh, okay, interesting. But then, like, for the little amount of offense I felt like that Joe got, and then just grabbed him and choked him out, That's to me why this made Wardlow look so bad. So, Wardlow was beaten up on Joe coming back from the break. He took Joe down with some corner strikes and knees. Joe kicked out of at 2. Wardlow then took too long to follow this up and missed a swanton. Joe went into the corner with some punches, but Wardlow powerbombed him out. Joe then swept the leg, taking a powerbomb, sinking the coquina clutch, backing Wardlow, who then to the back of Wardlow, who then crumbled and passed out. Like, for the amount of offense Wardlow was getting and the little amount of offense that Joe did to him, like, just basically did like, Joe literally, in my opinion, unless I just wasn't paying enough attention, did like 4 or 5 moves this whole match. Now, granted, I didn't pay attention at all during the picture-in-picture, so maybe he did more during the picture-in-picture, but it's like Joe did a handful of moves, grabbed him, and choked him. Wardlow didn't even take that much damage to get choked out the way he did. He didn't even try to fight out of the choke, nothing. As soon as Joe sunk that choke in and they fell to the mat, he was just done, which did not look good on Wardlow. So before we get to the, well, actually, we'll just talk about it. Swerve came out looking all mad. Security tried to stop him, and Joe was just like, yeah, screw you, guy, and walked off. So what'd you think of all of this?
I mean, the match kind of sucked for Wardlow because it made him look pretty weak.
Mm-hmm.
And like the Swerve and Samoa Joe stuff was kind of just there just to build up their match that's most likely going to take place at Dynasty.
Right. Which, speaking of Dynasty, and I get it, we're still when is Dynasty? We got nothing new announced for that show tonight.
April 21st.
That's okay. That's what I thought. We got, granted, a month and a half, but they don't.
I mean, there's still time though.
True,
I mean,
but I felt like they didn't even tease anything for that show. Like, you should at least be teasing.
I mean, they teased Swerve versus Joe.
Okay, true. Well, so we think, because we thought they were also going to do Kingston and Okada on the pay-per-view, and that's next week. So for all we know, in 2 weeks, they could do Joe Swerve on Dynamite. I wouldn't put it against them. They like to have these big matches on TV to pop a rating or try to pop a rating. I could see, like, they do it on a Dynamite. Like, where's... No, they're not going to be. I was going to say, are they going to be in Washington State anytime soon? Do it there for Swerve to win the belt and then do, like, the rematch at the pay-per-view? I don't know. But, yeah, they're still... Go for it.
I think they'll do with Okada at the pay-per-view?
Huh.
Actually, I'll say it later when to the Okada stuff.
5 weeks till the pay-per-view. 5 weeks from this weekend. So, I mean, they got time.
They could always build stuff up on Collision or announce stuff on Collision.
Right.
So.
It's like, I felt like they really didn't build up. Like we always say, they didn't do much to build to upcoming shows. They built stuff for next week, sorta. Like, we have 4 things set for next week, 3 matches, and 1 was set up last week. We have, what are the 3 matches set for next week? Jericho and Hook. Does anybody care about that match? We have the Continental Crown on the line with Kingston and Okada. And then we have the I Quit match, Christian versus Copeland in Toronto for the TNT title. So
I think Copeland's going to win the belt. He has to.
Well, yes, I agree with that. But I feel like this match, as we say it all the time, this match is not going to be as good as it can be to the TV watching audience because we're going to get bogged down with commercials. I feel like this match is going to go 20, 30 minutes. But then that means we're going to get like 4 commercial breaks. And so, do we miss something? Do they not do something? You know, big matches like this need to be on pay-per-views because you don't get breaks. Now, granted, people go, watch it on Triller, Fight TV. You don't get breaks there.
Does that really count for the ratings, though?
No.
Exactly.
Because that's but also you have to have a VPN and pay extra for that. To have AEW Plus through Triller, that's a UK thing, and you have to pay extra for that. So this is a cute segment. I actually kind of like this. This was funny. Earlier today, Alex Marvez got a word with the Elite. Nicholas scolded Marvez for not calling him by his, calling Okada by his real name. He goes, I've seen the passport. It says the Rainmaker Kazuchika Okada. He's like, call him by his real name. Matthew said that they're three of the best athletes in the world and a friendship that has gone on for 14 years. And yes, that is real. I saw someone on Twitter going, they've been friends for 14 years. I don't know about 14 years, but I know Nick and Okada specifically have been really good friends for a very long time. Like, we've seen on BTE and other social media stuff where like they play tricks on each other and stuff backstage at New Japan shows in the day, back in the day. So Bucks and Okada have been really close for a long time. But Matthew said that he bets Okada can give 14 million other reasons why they're such good friends. And maybe I'm thinking of this wrong, but do you get what that 14 million line is supposed to be?
What?
Unless I'm wrong here, they want you to think that they're paying Okada $14 million. He says, because we've heard this line in wrestling all the time. I'll give you X amount of reasons on why this could happen. And that's your X amount of reasons because that's X amount of money I'm making. Okada then spoke some English, told Penta, Pac, and Kingston that he's coming for them. He then looked at Marvez and said, also, you should wish Matthew happy birthday. And Nicholas is like, oh, yeah. And Marvez is like, happy birthday. He goes, no, sing it. And so they go to commercial as Marvez is singing Matthew happy birthday. I like this segment, actually. I thought it was really good. What do you think?
It wasn't bad. Now, do I think they do with Okada at Dynasty? So, like, let's say next week he beats Kingston for the belt.
He has
and at
to.
Dynasty he defends, and like at Dynasty he defends the belt against Pac.
Okay, I can see that. I would like that a lot. That would be a great match.
That would be a great match, though. But
yeah,
I don't know. I'm really getting worried about him winning that belt, though, because I'm worried that belt might kill his momentum.
So there's good.
We've seen title belts that killed wrestlers' momentum in AEW before. I mean, the FTW belt killed Brian Cage.
True. Now here's the one thing you can look at on the opposite side. Could they think that Eddie had that belt and didn't do much with it, so maybe putting that belt on Okada can help make that belt feel more important? That's the thing. Also, with Okada holding that belt, the crown, the Continental Crown, then that means Okada would have to be on ROH shows. That would mean Okada would most likely have to do New Japan stuff because he's Continental Champion, the Ring of Honor World Champion, and the New Japan Strong Champion. So does that mean that if next week he beats Eddie Kingston, then he's going to show up on that Windy City Riot show in Chicago for New Japan to defend the title there? We already know that Kingston's on that show in some big, like, 6, 7, 8-man tag or whatever it is. 6, 8-man warfare, whatever. But maybe that's another reason they want to do it. They want to put the title on Okada, so then that gives reasons why he's got to be on other stuff as well. And then that gives a reason why, even though he said, I'm not coming back to New Japan, he can work New Japan in the United States because he's got the belt.
I don't know. Okada said before that I intend to leave New Japan with the intention of never coming back. So like
to
that
Japan,
kind of like
to Japan. But if he works New Japan in America, that's different. So think about that. He's working strong. If you want to be more specific,
I guess.
So speaking of the Elite, they were in the next matchup. It was Kazuchika Okada and the Young Bucks, Matthew and Nicholas Jackson, against the team of Eddie Kingston, Pac, and Penta El Zero Miedo. I thought this match was fun. I like this match. It was action-packed, but it wasn't overbooked like a lot of these AEW Trios matches, where it's just like move for move for move for move. I thought this was one of the better 6-man tags we've seen in AEW in a little bit. So Kingston and Okada were facing off to start everything off, but Okada quickly bails, and Matthew eats a chop after trying to offer Kingston a fist bump. Pac tagged in and had a fast sequence with Matthew ending in a snap Hurricane Rana and a tilt-a-whirl backbreaker. Nicholas tags in immediately and flattens Penta with a cutter, but Penta responded with a corner super kick and a spinning fireman's carry slam for a 2. Pac and Penta then had a very ridiculous spot here where Nicholas went to kick, I think it was Penta, and he grabbed Matthew. He grabbed Matthew's leg. Pac, as he's holding Matthew up, super kicked him. He then threw the leg over to Pac. Pac's holding leg. Penta super kicks Matthew again. He then drops the leg, and they double super kick Matthew. Yeah, it's whatever. Okada, no. Yeah, so they double super kick him. And then, so did Penta do the drop kick or the leg drop off the middle ropes to the balls, or did he kick him in the butt? Because he jumped out of the ring and kind of like clinched his ass, like he kicked him in the ass, and then Taz says something about got him in the butt instead of the Scissor Me Timbers kind of move. Because it's almost what it was, like the Scissor Me Timbers or the Jeff Hardy deal. But then they said something, and the way Matthew sold it was like he didn't kick him in the balls, he got him in the butt.
I don't know. Like, I don't remember that.
Yeah, because it looked a little off, but purposefully off from what that move normally is. So Okada and Kingston were back in the ring, and they had a little face-off, this time firing chops and forearms at one another. But Okada hit the perfect drop kick and gained control, keeping Kingston isolated during the break. Kingston then caught Matthew with an exploder suplex, but Nicholas and Okada pulled the legs out from Penta and Pac as Kingston leaped over for the tag. Okada then mocked Kingston in his own corner as Matthew got a lariat in before posing with Okada. Kingston again caught Matthew with an overhead throw. This time it led to a Penta hot tag, who ran wild with sling blades and DDTs aplenty. Okada then avoided a backstabber, so Pac flew in with a shotgun dropkick before he and Penta hit stereo dives with Penta on the Bucks, with he and Penta hitting the Bucks on the outside. Back in the ring, Penta delivered another low double stomp. And then Pac hit the 450 splash and got a 2 off of it. Pac flattened Okada with a snap bounce back German suplex as Kingston tagged in and lit Okada up with more chops. Okada then dodged a back fist and countered into a DDT. Pac then flew in again with an enziguri. Matthew came in and laid out Pac with a Cazadora, a facebuster, but Penta connected with the Canadian Destroyer. Nicholas then hit a super kick on Penta, took his belt off and whipped him with it. Not a DQ? Okay, whatever. Kingston and then took Nicholas out. Matthew took the ref. Nicholas then hit a punt kick low, and Okada connected with the Rainmaker to pin Eddie Kingston. Okada then actually posed with the belt for dropping it on Kingston. Like, I liked this match. I thought it was really good. And so I still think that Okada should be a babyface right now, but I don't hate what they're doing with him in the Bucks. I thought it was really good tonight. I thought adding Okada here makes this Bucks heel gimmick, whatever they are, not as bad. And yeah, I didn't hate it at all. I actually enjoyed the match and think that the new elite is going to grow on me. What did you think?
I mean, I kind of like what they're doing with them right now, if I'm being honest. And it is growing on me. At first, it's like one of those things where I was like, I didn't like it at first, but it's growing on me.
But like, I still think that Okada should be a babyface because I think that the crowds would be reacting to him as a babyface maybe bigger than Ospreay. But if Ospreay's a babyface and Mercedes is going to be a babyface, you can't bring all three of them in as babyfaces. One's got to be a heel, so there you go. Got a video package showing us everything with Christian Cage and Adam Copeland heading into their match next week. I Quit for the TNT Championship. Will Ospreay then comes out, and oh my God, is Will Ospreay their big megastar babyface? This man was so good tonight. Cut a hell of a promo. Like, this was awesome. Tony Schiavone's in the ring, and he welcomes Will Ospreay, who gets a massive ovation from the crowd in Boston. Ospreay said that this match with Danielson at Dynasty means so much to him, as Danielson is the person he's wanted to emulate his entire career, somebody he's modeled himself after. Ospreay said he is glad Danielson's a fan of his and a fan of his work, saying that he's seen Ospreay saying he's the best in the world in Japan, so prove it in America, is what Danielson told him. Ospreay said that the world was talking about this match, talking about his matches with Omega as well, as if they were going to be equal. He said, being in the matches with Kenny, he poured his blood, sweat and tears into all of it, and actually also had blood pouring down his head. When it was all over, it was all worth it. So he hopes that this match with Danielson is more of the same. As there's a phrase that he's been following, he says, restore the feeling. Ospreay is the feeling, as this match will remind people why AEW is the best wrestling in the world. The moment they both step foot in the ring together, it's Danielson's life or Ospreay's. And he has no plans on dying. He will be on another level, and he knows Danielson will as well. And I didn't do this justice, but yeah, Ospreay was awesome here. I liked it a lot. I like this promo so much. I was already hyped up for the match, but this actually did its job and got me more hyped for this match. What'd you think?
This match is going to be insane.
Mm-hmm.
This match will be awesome.
Yes, 100%.
If I go to Dynasty, I'd probably only go for just this match.
So I've heard it's supposed to have a really good card up and down, but this is like the marquee match.
Do you think they have this match main event?
If Swerve is winning the belt, then no. If Swerve's winning the belt at the pay-per-view, that's the main event. Because you got to think, Tony Khan is a stickler for tradition, and the world title is always supposed to go on last, unless you have some bigger moment that needs to go on at the end of the show, like we saw with the Sting retirement. But traditionally, world title goes on last.
I mean, at Forbidden Door last year, it was Bryan Danielson versus Okada for the main event.
You're not wrong there. I didn't think about that.
So, something to think about.
But that's why I said also, if Swerve is winning the world title, I think that should be the main event. Also, the last thing we see is Swerve with the belt. So, we then go backstage to Deonna Purrazzo. Still not a fan of them getting rid of the screens in the interview area. It's just curtains now. Like, they put too much money into their ring lights and on their entrance. I don't know. Deonna Purrazzo's backstage and literally told us, it's not over with me and Tony Storm. And I go, bruh, you lost. Move on. She's like, she technically tapped in the match, so I want another go. And I'm like, it don't work like that. But whatever. So she knows that Tony and Mariah may have a tag team match coming up, and she's going to bring a partner next week. Purrazzo told both of them to watch for the shoe, and she's going to stick it straight up their ass. So who's she bringing? Britt Baker?
Would you really have Britt Baker return on? Was it Rampage or Collision?
No. So Tony and Mariah have a match on Rampage, but I don't think whatever this is going to be is not till next week on the Dynamite show. I couldn't get it out for some reason.
I mean, if it's on Dynamite, then yeah, Britt Baker will probably most likely make a return. But if it's on like Rampage or Collision, I don't know.
True, but yeah, no, I'm pretty sure it's Dynamite.
No. Because I don't think Tony Khan would want Britt Baker to make a return on Rampage or Collision.
Collision, maybe. Rampage, no. So then we got Switchblade Jay White versus Darby Allin. Darby comes out. His ribs are all taped up. His back's all taped up, and they show right on his back over here. Maybe it's the other side. I don't remember. I think it's this side. Doesn't really matter. Where his stitches are supposed to be, because he got 12. After all that going through the glass, he only needed 12 stitches. So basically, he gets whipped into the corner. He's like, oh, my back. And then he smashes his back up against the turnbuckle pad anyways. And so the match is going on, and Jay White's working the back. Side headlock. Boom. Take you down. Hurt the back. Side headlock. Simple move, but it's working the back. Allin fought back with a shotgun dropkick and followed this up with a somersault dive off the top to the floor. On the opposite end of the ring, Allin flew from the ring to the floor with a somersault dive. Allin then came up limping after the first dive as White responded with a with an underarm suplex through a chair. And I'm just like, oh, okay. The ref don't care? White then positioned the steel steps and launched Allen over them into the barricade. Allen regained control during the break, but his legs were swept out from under him in the corner, smashing against the turnbuckle. White connected with brutal chops to the back of the neck, but missed the stinger splash. Allen connected the Blade Runner into an up and over stunner, or countered a Blade Runner to an up and over stunner, to a sunset flip for a 2. He then hit the Last Supper and got a near fall. He then zoom in on the purple chest of Darby Allin. Allen then went for a coffin splash, but White countered into a German suplex in midair, followed by Uranagi for a 2. White attempted a suplex from the apron back into the ring, but Allen floated over into a Scorpion Death Drop for a 2 as White got a foot on the top rope. White knew Allen wanted a coffin drop, so he suckered him in by crawling to the edge of the ring and baited him into do one to the outside. And then, my most hated spot in wrestling. He's down for 9, dead, and then jumps in the ring and then gets pinned. So dumb. So dumb. Give me one quick second here. I'm going to need Luke to take over for a second. I need to go in the other room to deal something with the kids, so I'm going to give you some notes. I'm going to give you notes for the post-match and the next match. I should be back in just like 2 minutes. And Luke's going to take over, recap the post-match and the Jericho Hook Tag Team match here for just a second. Actually, let me do it this way. And there you go. Take it away. I'll be right back.
Alrighty. So we get into the post-match. Austin and Colton Gunn came to the ring and celebrated with White, who threw down his ROH six-man tag title and offered Allen a handshake, but it was a rush. But as it turned into a finger gun and the Guns attacked. The Guns wrapped a chair around Allen's ankle, and White was about to beat it with a baseball bat until the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass make the save. White encouraged Bowens, Caster, and Gunn to join in, but the Acclaimed helped Allen out of the ring and up the ramp. Billy Gunn and White had a stare down until White met Gunn with a chair shot to the head. Austin and Colton lay out Bowens and Caster with belt shots, and White laid out Daddy Ass with a Blade Runner. Austin and Colton threw Allen back to the ring, placed a chair on the ankle again, and White successfully beat the ankle with a baseball bat. FTW champion Hook and Chris... Wait, what? Hang on. Hang on. The match itself was fine, but where they really tried to force... Okay, I think he's... Never mind. So... I don't know what he sent me. I think he sent me like 2 different things, and both of them don't really make sense. But yeah. So the Bang Bang Scissor Gang is no longer a thing, which to me, I felt like it was really well needed for Jay White. If I'm being completely honest, I mean, people were hating like that Jay White was being paired with the Acclaimed, and it was like really killing him. But now that those two groups are no longer a thing, the Bang Bang Scissor Gang is done. I thought it was really well needed for Jay White. I'm being completely honest. Yeah, Sincerity even says that they didn't really like the group either. Like, that's same for me. Like, I didn't like the group. I thought it was stupid. So I think we'll most likely just see those two groups facing off each other in the next few weeks. I assume next week they'll probably just do a promo. And yeah, we'll see when the match happens. I mean, the real question is, do they do with like both trio belts on the line, or just the AEW trio belt, or the ROH six-man trio belts on the line? That's the question, because both of them are trios champs. The Acclaimed, AEW, the Gold Club Gold are trios champs in Ring of Honor, so we'll see which belts are on the line. Maybe it's both, and maybe like they unify the belts, which I feel like is very needed because I don't think Ring of Honor really needs the trios belts anymore per se. So if I was booking it, I would probably just unify the belts and just call it the AEW World Trios belts. But we'll see where this goes. That's all I got right now. We just gotta wait for Tim to come back for whatever's going on over there.
All right, I'm back. Where'd you?
I got so confused.
Why?
I got so confused after the Bang Bang Scissor Gang stuff.
What do you mean?
Because like you sent me like the FTW Hook and Chris Jericho stuff like right next to it, and I got so confused.
Oh, the way I sent it, my bad.
Yeah.
Where'd you leave off?
I was just like, huh? After the baseball bat, then FTW champion Hook. I stopped at the baseball bat. Then like right underneath of that was FTW champion Hook. And that's where I stopped.
Let me see. Why do I not even see that? Oh, okay. Gotcha. So you didn't even recap the match. Got it. Okay. All good.
I didn't recap the Hook Jericho match.
Right. So as far as, I'll just really quick, I'm glad that this Bang Bang Scissor Gang thing is over because I hated it.
Oh yeah, it was well needed for Jay White.
Yeah, no, I mean, it was just a way to make the Bullet Club Gold feel more, really all this was to build them up as even bigger, badder heels, in my opinion.
Now, the big question is, do they put both trios belts on the line whenever they face off against each other?
I hope so.
Because that's what I was saying. I hope they just unify the belts. Because Ring of Honor, they don't need trios belts anymore.
No, they don't. Also, do they think we're dumb as fuck? Why do we need an injury angle for Darby when he literally told us, I'm leaving at the end of the month to go climb Mount Everest? Do you think we're dumb? Why you need an injury angle to get Darby off television when he told us why he's going to be off television? It's so stupid.
Yeah, it's really dumb. Unless when he comes back, he can be like I climbed Mount Everest with like a broken ankle or something.
I mean, it gives him something when he comes back. He can get revenge on the Bullet Club Gold. So it gives him something built in immediately when he comes back. But it's just like, no, we didn't need this. He could have lost and then still been like, when he comes back, oh, I want a rematch from my last match. As far as the tag team match, it was FTW champion Hook and a Chris Jericho against the Gates of Agony, Toa Leona and Bishop Khan. Dasha Gonzalez announced Prince Nano with the Gates of Agony, but he wasn't there, which was kind of weird. There was a quick series of double suplexes from Jericho and Hook in the early going, but Khan and Leona gained control soon after, draping Jericho over the top rope and launching him to the outside. Back in the ring, Leona missed a corner splash as Jericho was sent over the top and crashing into the announce table, with Hook being leveled onto the floor. Jericho was worked over during the break and connected with the Lion Salt when they returned. Hook made the hot tag and ran wild with a series of T-bone suplexes until Leona broke a German suplex attempt, only to be low-bridged to the outside. Jericho flew in off the top with a sledgehammer as Hook connected on his German suplex on Leona. Khan then laid out Hook with the fireman's carry gutbuster, but Hook answered with a red rum. Leona was dispatched by Jericho, who sank in a lion tamer on Khan, who was still locked in the red rum. Jericho broke off and hit a springboard drop kick to Leona, and then Khan passed out. What? 2 freaking pass out finishes on the same show? Yeah, no. That's dumb. Basically, not even 2 pass out finishes. They're both the same move. The Kikina Clutch and the Red Rum are the same move, basically. You do the same finish twice on the same show. No, I didn't like that one bit. The match was okay, but I hated that they did the same finish that they did in the Joe Wardlow match, basically, where one guy gets caught, choked him, and he passes out. He didn't tap, none of that. He just passes out. Also, inconsistency. Tonight there wasn't, but there has been. In the past, they've done the raise the arm, drop it 3 times, then you're out. Tonight, it was more of just, oh, he's passed out, he's done, it's over. Call it. No, you need consistency. What are we supposed to think? Is it drop the arm, or the ref's just going to call it? I don't know. What did you think of the match?
It was okay. Like, again, it was another match that was just there.
Yeah.
I mean, completely honest. Like,
and then this,
like, why?
This
in the name, in their name, like Lion Hook is stupid.
And then they're just going to face each other next week? What?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's so dumb.
I swear, they got hooked. They got hooked being paired with so many like random people, and they give them all these like hook names. Like, it's stupid.
Well, Sammy
Hookhausen, Lion Hook, Jungle Hook. Like,
well, I mean,
come on.
Sammy Guevara got himself suspended, so Jericho needed a new young boy he can leech off of.
I mean, I'm sure there are better options.
Dude, Epic gets backstage.
Look at the AEW roster. Look at the AEW roster real quick.
I'll pull it up. I got this. Roster. As far as younger male talent in AEW, we got like Angelico. We've got.
I don't know if Helico's really young though.
True. Brian Keith.
I mean, maybe.
Honestly, Hook's the only one looking like he'd make sense. You almost what?
I mean, Dale Garcia would have been a cool one, but he was already doing stuff with Christian Cage.
Well, plus they've already tried. Well, they've already done the thing where he was with Jericho, and he was in the Jericho Appreciation Society, and he broke off from that. So they really couldn't go back to that. I don't feel like. Griff Garrison.
Sammy Guevara was part of that same group.
True, but Sammy's been with Jericho since the start of Dynamite, so that's just a built-in brotherhood forever. You got Griff Garrison. Looking. Really, Hook's the only one that makes sense if Jericho wants to pair himself with a younger guy. We got Lee Moriarty, Lee Johnson. Yeah. Really, Hook's the only one that makes sense if we're looking here.
Geez, Parker Boudreaux's still on this roster?
Yeah, that's a weird one. I thought he was gone from the company. Because where is he? Parker, he's still there. I don't know.
Yeah, I thought he was gone.
Maybe they just haven't updated their website. Well, no, they have updated their website because actually, this is actually very weird now that you say it, because these backgrounds with the little gold and the black were updated in the last 2 weeks. These are all new background images. So I don't know. Because they used to resemble the last Dynamite graphics, the background on the Superstar images. So actually kind of weird that he's still on there, which means that technically he's still signed, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of a weird one. I mean, he's probably just one of those guys where he's still signed, but they just don't really use him anymore.
Yeah. We got a video package for Willow versus Riho. Riho is shown backstage, and Mercedes approaches her and says that she's excited for her match and good luck. And Riho gives her a look kind of like, what? She looked confused. I'm just going to say it. Riho looked totally confused. Maybe it was, can I trust you confused? I don't think it was, I don't know who you are confused, but yeah, Riho played this pretty weird. Renee Paquette's backstage with Lion Hook, and Jericho said, the name is good, even though it's not. and Hook has future world championship potential written all over him. Jericho says that he still needs to know more. So he needs to know what it's like standing across the ring from Hook. Next week, it'll be Jericho versus Hook for the first time ever. And the Hook's like, sure. He agrees, whatever. Okay. Jericho needs to know more for what? They've not told us at all why Jericho wants to partner with Hook, why Jericho wants to face Hook. There's been no reasoning on why this is a thing. And that's the thing that AEW lacks. Giving us the details in between the story on why and for what reason.
Maybe it's for the FTW belt.
Next week, no. It's not a title match next week. I thought the same thing until they showed the graphic, and the graphic does not say title match. Because I thought the exact same thing. Oh, Jericho's going to challenge for the FTW belt. Nope. That's why I'm even more confused.
I mean, did you imagine if Jericho had that belt?
Actually, it'd be kind of fun, to be completely honest. Jericho working FTW matches for a little bit. Actually, gotta be a little fun. Then move on to our main event of the night. Yes, you heard me correctly. Our main event of the night, Willow Nightingale against Riho. So basically it was big size and power against small size and speed. Nightingale showed off her power early on with a shoulder tackle and a low crossbody. But Riho bridged out of the pin and showed her speed with a running corner knee. Actually, multiple running corner knees. Nightingale avoided the third and hit a shotgun dropkick that launched Riho clear across the ring into a picture-picture break. Willow then turned things around. And Riho... No, I wrote this weird. When we came back from the break, Riho built up some momentum with a Tiger Feint kick and a top rope crossbody for a 2. Riho tried a Northern Lights. Nightingale countered into a Doctor Bomb, and Riho turned it into a Snap Hurricane Rana for a 2. Riho finally connected on a Northern Lights suplex and was super close to dropping Nightingale on her head for a near fall. Riho went to the top again, but missed a double stomp on Nightingale, and Nightingale hit her with a pounce out of the ring. Nightingale tried to follow this up with a cannonball off the apron, but missed, and Riho hit a double stomp instead. Both went to the apron, and Riho connected with a dragon suplex on the edge of the ring, and a top rope double stomp yet again off the top to the back. 2 Willow back inside the ring, got a 2 off of it. Riho at one point missed a charging knee strike as Nightingale rose to her feet and threw a wild lariat before lowering her straps. Riho tried a jackknife pin, but Nightingale rolled through, hit the Doctor Bomb. Oh my God, did Riho land on the top of her head bad, like head and neck, and then got pinned. Willow picks up the win. Before we talk about the post-match, what do you think of the match itself?
If you were going to tell me this match was the main event, I probably would have stopped watching.
They did tell us. Mercedes said at the beginning, our main event tonight, Willow versus Riho.
Yeah, but do you really expect fans to stay for that, though?
No.
I mean, I feel like the only reason why people kind of stayed for it because they kind of knew Mercedes was probably going to be involved with that.
Well, I bet you, I would put money on this, that 99% of people thought Mercedes was going to attack Willow at the end of the show. I would put money that people probably thought that she was going to attack Willow. But she didn't. She's the babyface, and she helped Willow. So my whole thing is, where the hell was Stat? Statlander can't come to her aid of her buddy, of her friend? You walked out with her, Statlander. Then what did you do, go home? You and Stokes say time to hit the bar? Like, come on. Mercedes got to come help Willow instead? It's not like Willow doesn't have friends. She got Statlander.
Well, I'm pretty sure last week she told Statlander, I want to do this my way.
Right.
So they probably...
She didn't want her to get involved in the match, like Stokely tried to in the Statlander match. But this was post-match. This was everything's off the table, and we knew the Statlander and Stokely were there because they walked out with her during her entrance and then went back to the back. Like, they told us, hey, Statlander's here, and then that was it. So speaking of the post-match, Willow was checking on Riho. Commentary talked about how Willow's been wanting to go after the TBS championship. And right on cue, out goes the lights. Crowd starts chanting, CEO, CEO, CEO. But when the lights come back on, it's Julia Hart on the stage. Well, on the ramp. Then, Sky Blue runs in, chop blocks the leg of Willow. Both Hart and Blue start double team beating down on Nightingale until Mercedes Monet, of all people, runs out to make the save in different gear. And she took out Sky Blue on the ramp with a forearm. Monet and Hart then had a face-to-face until this is weird. They were fighting, and Hart went to throw a punch, so Mercedes kicked her in the armpit. Whatever. I think it was supposed to be a head kick, and she didn't realize her arm was going to be there. Whatever. She then grabs her for what? Do we even know what this move is called that she does? That finisher that she has? So she puts her on her back. It's very odd looking. It's, the setup isn't odd looking, but the actual execution. She puts the woman on her back. She stands there for a second, and then she throws her off and then spins her around, and then she comes down. It's whatever. She takes out the TBS champion. Go for it.
That was the same name that was the same finisher that she did on Kairi Sane when she debuted in New Japan. Everyone was calling it a botch.
Because Kairi messed it up, actually. Kairi messed up taking it. Kairi didn't spin around properly when she took it. That's why. That was all on Kairi, not Mercedes.
Yeah, I'm trying to look it up, what the name of that finisher is.
Mercedes Monet. Finishing move. Let's see. Is there a name for it? Let's see. Here we go. What is Mercedes Monet's finisher called?
Mone Maker.
Oh, the Monet Maker?
Yeah.
Instead of the bank statement, it's the Monet Maker. Gotcha. So yeah.
Yeah, she said it's currently uses the Monet Maker as her finisher, where she used that special spun into a DDT.
Yeah, like I said, Kairi's the one that messed it up, so that's on Kairi. But tonight, it was whatever. It looked okay. She then lays out the champion, raises Willow's hand, and then Willow leaves the ring so she can celebrate herself. What? Willow just picked up a big win, and then now, I don't know if you noticed this or not. Maybe I was looking too much into it. When Mercedes raised Willow's hand and then Willow got out of the ring and was walking away, was it just me? Or did Willow look very, irritated? Or a little annoyed?
I think she did look a little irritated, if you ask me.
What? I'm doing all this. Now I gotta let this bitch take my spotlight?
Yeah, I feel like she felt kind of irritated that Mercedes Monet was kind of getting the shine at the end.
Right.
We'll see how it works out for her and AEW going forward. It's too early to tell.
Oh yeah, way too early to tell. Give it about 3-4 weeks, and then we'll see how the Monet effect affects the company. But that is AEW Dynamite. As far as stuff being announced for the next couple of shows, you know, the AEW tag team. So we got no brackets for this tag title tournament, but we're supposed to get them on Friday. They said bracketology for the tag title tournament. Come on. No one's going to watch fucking Rampage. The tournament starts on Saturday. Also on Rampage, Orange Cassidy and Trent versus Evil Uno and John Silver. Roderick Strong, Matt Taven, and Mike Bennett against Top Flight and Action Andretti. And Timeless Tony Storm and Mariah May will be in action. As far as Collision does go, Kyle O'Reilly will have his first match back against Brian Keith. And then next week, we will hear from Mercedes Monet. Hook will take on Chris Jericho. The Continental Crown will be on the line when Eddie Kingston defends against Kazuchika Okada. And then an I Quit match for the TNT Championship on the line. Christian Cage versus Adam Copeland. So that's everything announced for the next 3 shows of AEW programming. with that, let me get the poll up for Twitch. What did you think of Dynamite? I liked it. It was all right. I didn't like it. Poll is live there. Let's check the other polls as well. As far as the Threads poll does go, 68% liked the show, 26% thought it was just all right, and 5% didn't like it. Excuse me. Looking at the Twitch or Twitter poll, 64% liked the show, 20% didn't like the show, 14% thought it was 14% thought it was just all right. I got the hiccups. What the hell? As far as the YouTube community poll, 63% liked the show, 20% didn't like the show, and 17% thought it was just all right. Very similar numbers there. This person called it meh. This person says it was great, 9 out of 10. Person says it's boss time in AEW for AEW. Oh, I meant CEO time. This person says outside of Mercedes' debut and the 6-man, it felt like an episode of Rampage. I can see that. Okay, this person, I'm gonna read this anyways, even though this is ridiculous. This may be the best pay-per-view of all time. 92 stars out of 5. Yeah, okay, troll comment. This one says, just felt like a bunch of filler that was just glorified because of Mercedes, in my opinion. But Darby versus Jay was fire. And this person says, I liked it. CEO, CEO, CEO. As far as the YouTube live poll does go, 67% liked the show, 19% thought it was just all right, and 14% didn't like it. Looking over at the Twitch poll, 67% liked the show, 17% thought it was just all right, and 17% didn't like it. Yeah. Seems like half of the people liked it, really. A little more than half, but that's lower than we normally get for I liked it on a Dynamite. So just saying, more people disliked this show than normal. Any closing thoughts on that one? More people not liking it than normal?
I mean, I can see why people not liking it than like normal. I mean, I can see it.
Yeah.
Outside of the Mercedes stuff, I mean, the Mercedes debut was very underwhelming, and a lot of the other stuff was kind of underwhelming. I thought the Elite stuff was good,
Right.
but everything else was kind of underwhelming in my opinion. But I mean, we'll see how it goes. Like next week, I'm sure it'll do better next week, in my opinion.
One last thing, Kiz Vicious has a good question. Says, is Mercedes signed to a multi-year contract with AEW? I don't know for sure, but I would assume it is a multi-year deal. I don't think Tony's signing her to a 1-year deal. Now, it's possible, but I don't think that they would. I don't think it would be just a 1-year deal. So we'll have to wait and see if that news or when that news comes out. I assume it eventually does come out. Some contract news, maybe we get all of it and we know how long it is for sure, or we know if it's a multi-year or not. I assume it's a multi-year, but that's just me saying that without having any actual knowledge. I just feel like Tony's not going to say, oh, you can just stick around for a year. He's going to want her for a little bit. With that, guys, I want to say thank you for joining us here. Twitch.tv/PW Unlimited, YouTube.com/Pro Wrestling Unlimited, and podcast services all around the globe like Stitcher, Spotify, Google Pod, Apple Pod, Anchor, iHeartRadio, and so much more. Luke, tell them where they can find you.
You can find me over at Twitter X at Petke_21. And you can also find me over at Twitch at Young Grasshopper Luke.
With that, guys, have a great night, and we'll be back Friday Night SmackDown. Have a good one, guys. All right, if you're still watching on Twitch,